Hi there, and welcome back to Behind the Scenes. I'm Debbie, and today we are going to be talking about goal setting. Does it work? And if it does work, how do you get it to work? Thank you for being here and for going on this little conversation journey with me. So, goal setting. This is something that I have done for many, many years, and I feel that it is such a critical part of accomplishing what you want to in your life, whether that's work life, personal life, whatever it is. And there are a lot of things that I've learned along the way. When I was younger, maybe mid 20s or so, that's around the first time that I had heard that you should do things like goal setting. No one ever taught me how to do it. They didn't really describe much of what should go into a goal if you are to set it, but I knew somehow instinctively that I needed to figure out how to have 1 year goals and 5 year goals. Where are you going to see yourself in 5 years was the big question that I think was happening at every interview back then. This was a while ago. I don't know if people ask that now. I don't know that I've ever asked anyone that in an interview. But nonetheless, that's where I kind of learned about, oh, you should really set goals. And what came along with that is that you have to write them down. And if you don't write them down, then they don't work. So in prepping for this, I was reflecting on what I've done for the last 15, 20, 25 years in my own life. I thought through the goals that worked and didn't work, and I thought about why it was that they didn't work. And then I did a little bit of research to figure out, hey, is this writing it down thing even legitimate? And it turns out, yes, it is. And it is for the reasons that when you write something down, your brain goes through this process called encoding, where it registers the thing that you're writing down as important. And so it's not going to forget it. And the way that I've seen this present in my life is I will be at work and I'll be taking notes on things I need to take care of, or I'll be doing that kind of like that brain dump where you're like, what is it that I need to get done? You write your to-do list down, and then you almost never even have to revisit it. You remember it because you wrote it down. So there is something to writing down your goals or the things that you need to remember that really solidify it in your mind. So, yes, it does work to write down goals, but that's not the only thing that you need to do in order to achieve goals. So, what I wanted to talk about today was some of the things I've learned over the years that help make goals and goal setting effective. So, with that, I would say number one is make the goal meaningful. And by that, I mean you need to link goals to something that's intrinsically important to you. Don't try to set a goal that you feel you should do because there are societal pressures to do it, or somebody else wants you to do something, or you think it's expected. Oh, and I should be doing this. If you set goals that way, most likely you're not going to achieve them, regardless of whether or not you write them down. You might end up feeling bad about yourself when you don't achieve them. If you go back and revisit your list of goals, if you really don't have a true reason for yourself to even accomplish the goal to begin with, don't write it down. And how do I know? Because I did that many times in my first years of writing down goals. Oh, I want to work out more, eat better, all those standard things that might as well be a New Year's resolution. It's that type of goal that's not really, it's not descriptive enough, which is point two. It's not descriptive enough to know even if you've achieved it. If it's not linked to something that's intrinsic or very important to you, then it's not going to be something that you're going to be able to achieve anyway. So then how do you know if it's important to you? Well, you would think that would be a simple thing, but unless you're slowing down and taking the time to take some type of personal inventory about where you are in your life, what you're happy with, thankful for, what you feel needs to be better, that might not be an easy question to answer. And especially if you're also not slowing down enough to take that inventory, and at the same time, you're comparing yourself to other people. Comparison, I think is probably one of the worst things that you can do if you want to achieve anything in your life, because if you look around the room, you're probably better off than half of the people and you're probably worse than half of the people. So if you're just not taking the time to look inside and figure out what you're okay with and not okay with, then there's not going to be a way to really set something meaningful up for yourself. So let's just say that you did sit there with yourself and figure out, hey, here's an area that I'm not comfortable in, and I feel like I need to learn more or I need to do better. There's your goal. Once you get that thing identified, what you want to make sure, and you can have several goals, but what you want to make sure is you are descriptive enough with each of those goals to be able to see the end state that you want. Some people do vision boards where they go to magazines and they cut pictures out and they put certain keywords on a board. I've never done this. I've never done that. I'm a bullet list girl. I want this, bullet lists, done. That's the thing. And I know what that means because that goal, I have a picture of it in my head already. So if you have a picture in your head and you're clear on what the outcome looks like, that's good enough. You don't need to do a huge vision board. You just have to have clarity on the vision that it is you're trying to achieve with that goal. That's the main thing. Tailor it to you. If you're an artsy craftsy kind of person and you really want to do the vision board, do it. Does it have to be physical? Like, can it be electronic? I think it can be electronic. I don't think the how in that case matters as long as you have clarity around what the end state looks like. So that's the key thing. And then the other thing that I've learned is sometimes we have goals that can conflict with each other. And you're going to have to resolve those conflicts in order to be successful. That is really uncomfortable when perhaps, as an example, you're talking about, I want to save this much money, but then I also need to pay off this thing. Those are two seemingly conflicting goals. For those situations, you really have to resolve the conflict before you settle on what your goal is going to be. And maybe it's you still do both, you just do both slower, whatever the case is. I had situations where I was still in college and that was an expense that I was paying for out of pocket. And then that conflicted with a savings goal. You have to figure out which one is going to override the other or going to take precedence. Otherwise, it's going to be really tough to achieve either one of them. Again, unless you set it up so that you're okay moving at a slower pace to achieve those goals. And if so, then that's fine. But you have to be aware that that's going to happen. Otherwise, you're going to get frustrated and think that it's not going to work. Now, once you have figured out your goals, you've written them down in whatever format works for you. You're descriptive enough. You can see that end state. Once you get to that point and you're very clear on what it is that you're going after, then your behavior will start to change. Your behavior will start to follow suit. And at least this is what has happened to me. Everything that I do from that point forward, it's essentially a decision was made. And this is the thing that I'm going to take care of. And behaviors to support that activity just naturally begin to happen. Some people like more structure than that. For me, just seeing the end state, I am able to usually figure out the steps to get from point A to B. Sometimes it takes a little research, sometimes it takes learning. Whatever the case is, usually once you know the end point that you're trying to head to, you can typically figure out, okay, what's my first one or two steps? Even if I don't know all the steps, figure out where can you start? And that's step one. And then go through, once you're done with step one, go to step two, keep going toward that end state that you've visualized, and you will eventually get there. And you'll get there quick, very quick, actually. I do believe that there is value in writing goals. I do believe that they work. And I think that people should have them. You don't have to have a constant to-do list in your life. You really don't. But if there are areas that you feel need improvement, or if there are goals or things that you would like to achieve in your life and you're wondering, how do I get there? It really starts with that initial defining what it is that you need or want, and then going for it. Now, goals also, they change over time, I feel. When you're younger, they're very bottom of the Maslow's hierarchy. They're at the base. I need my needs met and I have to make money. I have to keep a roof over my head and be able to pay for food and the basics. So those are the things that your goals are probably going to be related to the younger or earlier you are in your career. And then as you get older, those goals can shift into longer term. Maybe there's career aspirations. What I had for mine was a particular level in the industry I work in. That was my goal for 10 years. And I had the steps leading up to that. And that's what I worked toward. Point is, I think that if you are the type of person that wants to see measured progress in your life, yes, you should sit with yourself and you should set goals. When you really get into goal setting, this happened to me. I saw how effective it was. I saw how quickly I could move through anything that I set my mind to do. And then I wanted to do everything at the same time. And then that's when it doesn't work, is when you're trying to do everything at the same time. Once you do resolve those conflicts and you're allowing yourself the time and the space to work on the most important things one at a time or a few at a time, you'll see your behavior will follow, and it will be incredible how quickly you can achieve certain things in your life, whatever it is, whether it's health related things, career related things, financial things. Those are usually the main things. I do believe that goal setting does work under these conditions and that you should give it a try. So if you've never tried it, I can encourage you to try it, see what happens, and leave a comment, engage if you want below. I'm happy to hear from anyone who might be listening. And yeah, that's it for today. Good luck and good luck with those goals. Thank you. I'll see you later. Bye.